On January 24th, 2021, my older sister committed suicide. This video is intended to represent how we who don't have depression treat people with depression, and what this mindset has cost me.
Depression is a joke. Suicide doesn't even happen. How could you want to die? How could you not want to live? Sure, there are ups and downs in life, but you just have to remember to get up every time you fall down. Just be strong and be happy. You'll get through this, trust me. How can you hate life so much? You have a loving family, you live in a nice area, you have a lot of friends,
You have a wealthy family,
and your parents are working very hard to provide you with a great future. And yet, for some strange reason, you choose to be sad. Look around you. How could someone who has everything they'll ever need in life be so sad all the time?
Yeah, I have all those things, and I guess my life should be great. But I'm still miserable, and I still want to kill myself.
I took a walk with my sister the other day. We smiled, joked, shared some laughs. Then she decided to move on to a more serious topic. We proceeded to talk about our views on the world, the people around us, and more importantly, our futures. She asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. I went on and on explaining to her that I someday will become an emotional therapist. The conversation lasted a long amount of time on myself as I continued to explain to her how rich, successful, and happy my life will soon be if I eventually do fulfill those dreams. After minutes of selfish babbling, I finally turned and asked her what she wanted to be when she grows up, assuming that maybe she had some exciting dreams herself. She turned, looked at me, she said,
Dead.
She said it under her breath, as if it was hard for her to let the word out, and took quite a bit of confidence to do so. I turned and I looked at her in response and I asked, No, but really, what do you want to be when you grow up? Innocently, I refused to believe the truth that she spoke so seriously about, assuming she was being dramatic. She tells me,
No, really.
I continue to urge her to tell me what she wants to be, assuming that at some point she will tell me something else, that she will tell me the truth. Okay, but if you weren't dead, then what would you want to be?
I don't want to be anything else. I want to die.
Whatever, I say as I brush it off. She doesn't want to be realistic, then we might as well talk about something else.
Why does everyone think I'm joking when I say I want to die? Why can't anyone take me seriously?
My best friend is suffering from depression. I notice how sad she is all the time, and she has constant mood changes. It's really hard seeing her this way, and the worst part is that I don't even know how to help her. I want to talk to her about it, but she usually seems so happy, so I never really feel the need to try. She told me the only thing that helps with the pain is to cut herself. I asked her if she was thinking about committing suicide, and she said she was, but she doesn't have a plan. And she doesn't want to feel sad anymore. I know she wouldn't actually do it, but it's a little bit scary thinking about it. I've known her for so long, and I know how strong she is, so I know she's gonna get through this. We're both going to UC Davis next year, and I know she wouldn't miss out on that. Next thing you know, it's just going to be something else that we look back and laugh at. She's just being dramatic. She'll be fine.
You cared, but not enough to imagine that there was another side to me that was still hurting. You cared, but not enough to ask. You saw what you saw and left it as it was. Maybe, if you showed me that you cared more, I would have had a reason to stay. But you didn't even try. You cared, but only once it was too late.
I got a call from my daughter's therapist telling me she was upset with her life and thinking about suicide. She told me that my daughter was very seriously depressed, that she was digging a hole she may never get herself out of.
Ultimately, burying herself in this hole. A hole that her family would soon visit occasionally and wish they had read her signs sooner. Only the signs were so obvious, because they always are. The signs were written in bold capital letters.
Please help me. I want to kill myself. I want to die. I'm done living. I'm done with my life. No one cares about me. I'm tired. Toxic. I'm tired of living. I don't matter. I don't matter.
Yet, no one was able to understand the language and simply ignored the sign. It is hard to read someone else's sign when we are holding so many up ourselves. Other signs are important, but ours are more. Our futures are important, and it would take a wasteful amount of time to help build someone else's before building our own.
When the therapist told me this about my daughter, I hung up the phone. I raced to her room immediately. I just kept asking her if everything was okay, and I didn't realize that she was just saying what she thought I wanted to hear. She told me she doesn't know how she feels.
The poor girl was crying for help, screaming for it, but sadly, nobody heard her, because it would be so wrong to have a desire for death, to even desire such a thing.
But what's the actual problem? Please tell me. Please.
The truth is, everyone and no one cared. Everyone cared when she died, but no one cared when she lived. Her family and friends cared, but no one genuinely did, because it didn't seem real enough to be true. They cared about her education, they cared about her career, they cared about her social life and future, but when it came to this, no one cared. Not because they didn't care, but because they simply didn't want to have to care. Because they didn't want to believe that this was true and that it was happening. Because they didn't want to believe that she actually wanted to die. It would be so wrong if she actually did. So it must be a joke. A very dark joke.
A child doesn't die before her mother, so it would be wrong of me to even think of her future in such a way. It's my duty as a mother to promise this young girl a future, and that I will do. I'll make her feel that there is a future and there's a reason for her to keep on living. What kind of mother would I be if I actually believed that my daughter wanted to die?
You sit and ask your daughter,
But what about your dream college?
But is it really her dream college or yours?
her dreams are quite vividly obvious. She's made them so obvious, but no one has the right lens to clearly see the seriousness that it is. You can try every pair of glasses in the store, and yet you still won't see what is going through this poor girl's head. Your life is too busy to even try, because you have so many better things to do. Not more important, but more productive. You've already spent too much time trying to understand, and now you are simply wasting your time. Then, one morning, you wake up. But she doesn't. But how could this be? This is your life, and your life has been nothing but sunshine and rainbows up until this point in time. You must be dreaming, right? But you're not dreaming. You are now staring into her dead eyes, and all you can see now is everything you didn't do in the past, and everything that you could have done in the past is now pointless. But what you truly feel now is guilt. Guilty of being so blind, of being so selfish, of thinking it was all a joke, of thinking that no one in their right mind had the sense, capability, bravery, or even confidence to harm themselves in such a way. You sit there wondering about everything you could have done.
But this is not about you anymore. It's about them. When it should have been about them all along.
You always had something else to do. Not more important, but a better use of your time. You were always too busy. Too busy to be involved. Too busy to notice what I was going through. Maybe even too busy to notice there was anything wrong at all. All I wanted was your attention. For once in my life, to know that at least you cared. But you didn't. And neither did anyone else. I lived in a house where no one knew me. Despite being surrounded by people, I was constantly alone. Before I go, can we have a moment of silence for the girl I used to be, who is gone too soon? The girl with the brightest smile. The girl with the contagious laugh. The girl full of dreams. At least now, she can live on in yours. Whoever that person is in your life, don't let them down. Be there for them before it's too late. Are you even listening to what I'm saying? Is anyone even there? Hello? 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 Hello?
Goodbye.
When we come across suicide, we always say that we never expected it. But was it really unexpected? Or were you just choosing to ignore it? There's 4 main reasons why suicide happens unexpectedly, and why I stopped checking on my sister. The first is fear. I didn't want to get vulnerable and talk about something so serious. I thought that if I brought it up, that she would only get sadder, and that I would only be reminding her, as if she forgot she was depressed or something. The second main reason, the reason why you aren't doing it either, was because of a constant delay and denial. Constantly assuming that she's fine, and constantly delaying asking her about it. Always waiting for the right moment to fix our relationship and see what's going on with her. Always waiting for the right time, for when she's crying or looking sad. Optimistically assuming that just because she laughs sometimes, that she's happy. Then one day, I finally decided it was time to talk to her about her depression and see if she was feeling better. A time when she was really happy, so I thought it would be the right time, but it was too late. When I opened that door, she was lying there dead. I waited and waited, but what was it really that I was waiting for? Was it this moment that I waited for when it would be too late? For when she was at her worst? The third main reason is disbelief, or optimistic ignorance. Believing that no one in their right mind would actually kill themselves, and that the universe would never let me experience something so traumatic. Being so optimistic that she would get better, that I didn't even need to show that I cared. Assuming that she would get better on her own if I believed she would. It would be so crazy to assume that someone I'm so close to would kill themselves, so I chose not to believe it. And only when it happened, I began to understand how real it was all along. The fourth and most important reason is learning when to care and when to show it. And the answer is always. I cared about Stav when she looked sad and when she looked like she needed help. But the truth wasn't that I didn't care. The truth was that I didn't want to have to care. I wanted to believe that everything was okay. I wanted to believe that my life was sunshine and rainbows. If only I stepped out of this fairy tale, maybe my life would be as normal now as it was back then. Because when she was happy, I didn't check on her. I didn't feel the need to. As strong as we are, we all need help sometimes, and it never hurts to check up on our friends and loved ones. The right time is and always will be right now, because there will never be a right time. If you care about someone enough to see them live, then care for them in the bad, and especially in the good. The real secret is caring and compassion. Caring for her meant caring always. For me, it meant when I had to. And now that she's dead, it seems that I care more now than I ever showed when she was here. Now I suddenly care every single day. If only I cared as much as I do now, would she still be alive? So my advice to you is a decision. To decide at what point you prefer to care more. Right now while they're still here, as you help them get better, or when they're gone, as you try to get better. It's all about timing, and you get to decide if you prefer to care more before or after, because in both circumstances, you will care the same amount. Because if they do kill themselves, you will care just as much, if not more, than you would have when they were still here. And all because you thought they weren't gonna do it, even when they told you they wanted to. Only now will you believe how serious they were. Only now will you show how much you really care.
If you would like to help support my sister and I on this mental health awareness journey, I'm currently creating a clothing brand in hopes to spread positive energy and mental health awareness. The clothing will have my sister Stav's art on it, as well as other cool designs. The money earned will be donated to nonprofit organizations for depression, as well as funding for a short film to raise awareness for mental health. My goal with this clothing brand is to raise enough money to actually make this short film come to life and to reach further audiences. I have also created an Instagram page containing all of my sister Stav's art, where you can get a closer look at who she was and how she felt as a person. Her paintings contain very deep meanings and could potentially mean something meaningful to you, as it does for me. Please check out my sister's art page and the clothing brand, which I have linked below, and please support in any way that you can. Simply checking out the clothes or giving the account a follow will be greatly appreciated. I have a ton of new ideas for videos, and if you would like to see more content, please show some love and subscribe. Thank you.